Welcome back to the channel. Today we are out back in Bellingham for the Northwest tune-up. I'm excited for a demo this close to home so I can take it on my usual test tracks and really see how things go. As you can see, it's real dark in the trees still, even though it is blazing hot and sunny outside. So that's why this area is so amazing. Before we get into it, please hit that subscribe button. Let me know if there's any bikes I've missed that you want me to check out. And don't forget to click on those affiliate links if you need anything from Jensen USA, Rourke Apparel, Hover Air, and plenty more. And the first bike up is the Giant Trance X. So what is this bike? Giant released this bike last year, and it's possibly their most popular, well-rounded trail bike. It has 140 millimeters of rear wheel travel and a 150 fork, 29-inch wheels, and an impressive amount of adjustment, from 3 different headset angles to mixed wheels, as well as some reach adjustment. Giant has always had confusing nomenclature. The Trance is Giant's trail bike, X means it's slightly more travel, so we'll call it their all-mountain bike, and Advanced means it's carbon. One is just how it's equipped. So it has GX transmission, Fox Performance Elite suspension, and Shimano XT brakes. Not bad, but at 7K, also not a deal. Unfortunately, it does have some tires that you'll likely need to replace immediately, but on the plus side, it has carbon wheels and an adjustable travel dropper. Overall, it's a solid spec ready to rip some trails. So what about that geo? Overall, it's a pretty straightforward 77.2 degree C-tube angle and 480 reach. 64.8 head angle with a 628 stack and a 439 chainstay adds up to a tight 1246. These are safe numbers. Maybe too safe. All right, so we got the usual switchbacks coming up first. Now for the hard guy. Oh. All right, not too bad. I think it was a lot of fear. I hate crashing. All right, so after a sweltering hot and steep climb, as well as this just nice meander through the woods and the shade, how does the Trance X get up the hill? Well, there are 2 standout things right off the bat. First is the efficiency. It's like almost the perfect balance, but it definitely leans a little bit more towards efficiency over traction. I slid the rear wheel a few times. And the other standout, which isn't as good, is the body position. So it's a pretty comfy climber, but you're definitely over that back wheel more than I would like, or more than makes switchbacks and steep stuff easy. So that was a bit of a bummer. Struggled a bit with some of the switchbacks that I'd never struggle with, but it still got around. The hardest switchback just took a couple tries. So yeah, I'll probably give it an average for body position, maybe a 5 for efficiency, 4 for traction, and probably an average 3 or so for switchbacks. Let's talk about descending. Bikes in this category have gotten so capable on the descents that sometimes they're missing the middle. Well, the Giant Trance X falls right in that middle, for better or for worse. Let's get into the fun stuff. When it comes to chunk, I was very torn. It performs better than many bikes in this category, right up until the rocks get big. High speed, it's very predictable and consistent, but those big hits, you'll feel them. When it comes to steep terrain, the stack height is on the low side, which really isn't that low compared to bikes just a few years ago, but when it is steep, you'll notice. But again, the stiff and consistent frame takes G-outs without issue, which is a good segue right into jumps. Those features make for a bike that is more lively than some old Maestro bikes and doesn't struggle with a steep lip or quick transition. It's nimble and really finds its footing on fast rolling trails and jump lines. This also blurs the lines right into cornering. Sure, more travel and stability does better on sweeping corners and off camber, but the Trance X does a lot with what travel it has. And when the corners are tight and fast, the short wheelbase and the Maestro suspension give back with every input. Let's check out the Loam library and compare the Trance X to some similar bikes. This is basically the most competitive category, and while the Trance X finds itself in the middle, that's not necessarily a bad thing. First off, let's compare it to the Santa Cruz Hightower, which has topped my list, even if it's not my personal favorite. The Hightower outperforms in technical terrain up and down, but really at the extremes. I would maybe even give it to the Trance X for chunk, but you do get an extra 10 mils to take the edge off on the Santa Cruz and the slacker head angle. The only real win is in the steep terrain. The higher front end and that head angle does a better job of keeping weight centered. This is even more important on the size medium and smaller, where the Santa Cruz gets size specific rear centers and the Trance is a one size fits all. However, while I gave them the same scores for jumps and corners, I'd give it to the Trance overall. Climbing, it's also just the extremes where the Hightower may win. For rolling terrain, the Trance's body position is just fine, and maybe better for long days in the saddle. When combined with the lighter weight, I would generally gravitate towards the Trance X. Pivoting from the Hightower, that's a bit on the verge of enduro, to a bike more solidly in the center. Let's talk about the Pivot Trailcat LT. This is another bike that's maybe too middle of the road for some riders, but just does everything so well. If only it wasn't so expensive, this bike is an easy recommendation. It's more fun for my preferred terrain, including jumps and features. The higher front end is easier to pull on, and when approaching what feels like a cliff, it's more confident. The weight is also more comparable to the Giant than the Santa Cruz Hightower. So for long days, rolling terrain, and everything in between, I'd grab the Trailcat. Final thoughts on who's this bike for? I've ridden a lot of Giant bikes in the past, and the Maestro's just never been my favorite. It's not that it was bad, it just wasn't my flavor. This Maestro 3, I think better fits more riders and more terrain. I was also impressed with Giant's overall fit and finish.
And this is why I like fancy tires.
Yes, they should probably have size-specific rear ends, and that 77-degree seat tube angle really didn't feel that steep to me. But the frame quality was spot on, as was the in-frame storage and wide range of adjustments. Terrain and expectations. If you expect the Trance X to be a lightweight rein, you'd be making a mistake. If you want a trail bike that you could also race in enduro, then this is probably not the bike for Colorado, Utah, and the Pacific Northwest. But that's not the terrain everywhere. If you want a trail ride, but ride a chairlift weekly or even monthly, there are better options. If you like to pedal though, but want the added travel for gnarlier rides, now we're talking. If you prefer the bike to calm down fast and chunky trails, rather than seek out every side hit, this is what the Trance X does. A trail bike for every trail. The Giant Trance X has what it takes and is ready to take on your favorite trails. Thanks for watching. Summer is here and the reviews are coming fast. Subscribe so you don't miss out. If you need anything for yourself or your adventures, please click through the affiliate links in the description below and on my channel's page. Jensen USA, Hover Air, Rourke Apparel, and more. There's no additional cost to you and it greatly helps the channel. Now get out there, go fast, and take chances. See you next week.